already listed in this chapter, is emfcenter.com, which is chock full of free videos and e-courses. It also offers on-site professional consulting and EMF proofing for your home or office. Finally, Nicholas Pinault, who I mentioned earlier, has a fantastic EMF mitigating course called Electrosmog RX, which you can access through boundlessbook.com/20. What you can do about radiation. From the Fukushima disaster in Japan to the average airport security line to medical tests that use radioactive compounds, we're constantly bombarded by nuclear, X-ray, and microwave radiation. And it's an unfortunate fact that a nuclear disaster that occurs thousands of miles away can affect you as you sit sipping iced tea in your own backyard. One problem with radiation is that certain glands and tissues with high amounts of iodine receptors, including thyroid, prostate, and breast tissue, are extremely sensitive to oxidation and cell damage from radiation, especially when these tissues are low in the nutrient iodine. When radioactive iodine, found in most forms of radiation, including all the stuff that gets blown into the atmosphere after a disaster such as Fukushima, gets into areas of your body that have numerous iodine receptors, if these receptors are lacking iodine, then the radioactive iodine latches on and begins ionizing, oxidizing, and harming these tissues. As you can imagine, if the receptors have had adequate dietary exposure to iodine, then they're already filled with normal iodine and do not readily grab the radioactive version of iodine. The other issue with radiation, as I alluded to above, is that it's highly capable of causing oxidation, just as eating a lot of heated vegetable oil or sugar can cause free radical damage, but to a much greater extent. Radiation exposure is the equivalent of a bunch of tiny bullets passing through your tissues. Contrary to popular belief, you simply cannot stop ionizing radiation from entering or passing through your body by taking some special nutritional supplement or drug. To get complete protection from radiation, you'd have to shelter in an underground bunker and get lead or concrete walls between you and the source of the radiation. Good luck with that. So rather than running from radiation, I recommend you speed your body's ability to repair damaged tissues and organs, and equip yourself with high amounts of the proper nutrients to counteract the effects of ionizing, oxidizing radiation, including these. Oral magnesium in supplemental form, around 400 to 600 milligrams per day, or until you get loose stool. Magnesium offers strong protective effects against small daily doses of radiation. Algae, which can naturally protect against radiation. In addition to organic chlorella and spirulina tablets, which you can eat, swallow, or sprinkle into smoothies, you can liberally include sea vegetables in your diet. A full spectrum of antioxidants from a diet rich in wild plants, herbs, and spices, along with the antioxidants mentioned in Chapter 19. Additional antioxidants from a supplement that contains high-quality omega-3, vitamin D and K, and vitamin A. I recommend Living Fuel Super Essentials Omega combined with a good multivitamin like Thorns. If acute radiation exposure occurs, or you're frequently traveling to irradiated areas, also recommend 6 milligrams of Naskin iodine per day in a glass of water. 1 or 2 servings of edible clay each day. Clay can draw out stored radioactive compounds from your body, and yes, it literally tastes like eating dirt. I recommend food-grade bentonite clay, which can easily be ordered from Amazon or found at many health food stores. Finally, to learn more about naturally protecting yourself from radiation and the huge problem with radiation exposure in our modern era, I highly recommend you read Dr. Mark Serkis's book, Nuclear Toxicity Syndrome. Let's talk about light. Most of us think of light as just a wave of energy that signifies the absence of darkness. But the fact is, light has a profound impact on human biology, for better or worse. Chapter 7 explained the effects of artificial light on circadian rhythms and sleep, and other sections of this book describe biohacks that use light, such as photobiomodulation, near-infrared, far-infrared, UVA, and UVB. But the effects of light go far beyond its potential for positively hacking sleep and enhancing recovery, especially when it comes to the potential for artificial light to damage your overall wellness. The negative health impact of artificial light sources includes the risk of cataracts, blindness, age-related macular degeneration, mitochondrial dysfunction, disorders, heart disease, and more. Multiple recent studies have also reported that exposure to artificial light can cause breast cancer, circadian phase disruption, and sleep disorders. One 2015 meta-analysis reviewed 85 scientific articles and showed that outdoor artificial lights, such as street lamps and outdoor porch lights, are a risk factor for breast cancer, and that more intense indoor artificial light elevates this risk. The study also showed that exposure to artificial bright light at night suppresses melatonin secretion, increases sleep onset latency, and increases alertness, and that the circadian misalignment caused by artificial light exposure can have significant negative effects on psychological, cardiovascular, and metabolic functions. The dangers of LEDs. One perfect example of the hazards of modern light is LEDs, light-emitting diodes, which are rapidly replacing compact fluorescent, or CFL bulbs, primarily because LEDs, unlike CFLs, do not contain mercury, and they're far more energy efficient. LED lighting is used in aviation lighting, car headlights, emergency vehicle lighting, advertising, traffic signals, camera flashes, and general lighting. Large area LED displays are also used in stadium signage, dynamic decorative displays, and dynamic billboards on freeways. But LEDs pose significant environmental risks and toxicity hazards because they contain high amounts of arsenic, copper, nickel, lead, iron, and silver. LEDs can also cause irreversible retinal damage to the photoreceptors in your eye and have been shown to induce necrosis in eye tissue. The American Medical Association even put out an official statement warning of the health and safety issues associated with white LED street lamps. Things get even worse once dimming and color changing features are introduced into LED lighting, which is a common feature in smart homes. The problem is that, unlike incandescent and halogen lights, LED lamps are a form of digital lighting. In a color changing system that allows you to dim or adjust the color of the lights, there are typically 3 LED sources: red, green, and blue. The intensity of these sources has to be changed to achieve different colors, and this means that LEDs rapidly alternate between on at full intensity and completely off over and over again, resulting in a lighting phenomenon called flicker. Even though it appears to your naked eye that the LEDs really aren't changing color or intensity that much, your retina perceives this flicker, and you can often observe this phenomenon if you use an older camera or a device called a flicker detector to record an LED light in your house or an LED backlit computer monitor. This trick doesn't work with newer cameras and smartphones, which have a built-in algorithm that detects the flicker frequency and automatically changes the shutter speed accordingly. But I've found that by switching my iPhone to slow motion video recording, I can often detect flicker in a monitor or light. Although this flicker is present